Welcome to the world of dark ports. The secret, high-security marinas where the world's wealthiest people go when they don't want to be found by the taxman, the paparazzi, or the law. Today, I'm taking you inside the most exclusive fortresses on Earth and showing you exactly how much it costs to disappear. Here's something the shipping industry doesn't advertise. Every commercial vessel on Earth is required by law to broadcast its location using a system called AIS, Automatic Identification System. Think of it like a phone's Find My feature, but for ships. Coast guards, journalists, activists, and port authorities can all see where any vessel is in real time. That's the rule. But here's the loophole. AIS is a transponder system, which means it can be turned off. And when a super yacht approaching one of these dark ports wants to avoid being photographed, tracked, or protested by Greenpeace activists, the captain simply switches it off. The yacht disappears from every public map, completely invisible. The industry term for this is AIS spoofing. And you can purchase a service that will legally ghost your vessel's GPS coordinates for around $2,500 a month. Now, Monaco's Port Hercules is probably the most famous super yacht marina on Earth. Hundreds of millions of dollars of boats crammed into a postage stamp of a harbor. Celebrities, royals, Formula One drivers. If you own a super yacht and you don't park it in Monaco at least once, are you even trying? But Monaco is the entry-level dark port. The place where the slightly famous go. The truly wealthy? They go somewhere most people have never heard of. Porto Montenegro sits on the coast of Montenegro, a small Balkan country that most Americans would struggle to find on a map. And that is entirely the point. This marina was built on the skeleton of an old Yugoslav naval base, the kind of place that used to house Cold War submarines. Today, it handles the largest super yachts in the world, vessels up to 140 meters, and it does it with one very specific feature that keeps the ultra-wealthy coming back: tax-free fuel. A 100-meter super yacht has a fuel tank that makes an SUV look embarrassing. We're talking hundreds of thousands of liters of marine diesel. A full fill-up in a normal European port costs around $500,000. And in most European Union countries, roughly 20% of that is fuel duty and VAT. That's $100,000 in taxes. Gone. From a single afternoon's refueling. Montenegro is not an European Union member state, which means those European Union tax rules simply don't apply here. You pull into Porto Montenegro, you fill up, and you keep that $100,000 in your pocket. For an owner running a large yacht, that's $1 million a year in fuel tax alone. Saved. Legally. The locals call it the Riviera of the Adriatic. The billionaires call it something simpler, efficient. But fuel taxes are small change compared to what's happening at the next port on this list. You can stand 100 feet from a $200 million yacht in Barcelona. You can see it with your own eyes, and you will never, ever photograph the owner. Marina Port Vell is one of the few marinas on Earth with full ISPS code compliance. That stands for the International Ship and Port Facility Security Code. It is the same security standard applied to nuclear power plants and major international airports. Which raises an obvious question. Why does a boat parking lot need nuclear-level security? The answer is drones. A $500 consumer drone with a 4K camera is, to a yacht owner, a genuine threat. One paparazzi photo of the wrong person on the wrong deck at the wrong time is worth millions to a tabloid editor. So Port Vell runs a system called an Aeroscope. It doesn't just detect nearby drones. It reads the drone's serial number, identifies the model, and triangulates the exact GPS location of whoever is holding the remote control. But if that pilot doesn't leave, they flip a different switch. Signal jammers flood the 2.4 and 5.8 gigahertz frequencies with white noise. To the drone, it's like trying to hear a whisper inside a hurricane. The connection snaps. The drone hits fail-safe mode, and either lands immediately or flies back to the home point, which is the exact spot security is already driving toward. And for owners who want total blackout, they add peripheral laser fencing, invisible infrared beams surrounding the hull. A swimmer, a kayak, a rogue piece of driftwood breaks that beam and an alarm fires silently on the bridge. Nobody boards without permission. Nobody photographs. Nobody even gets close. Here's what that security costs by the line item. That is over $400,000 a year. Just for privacy. Not maintenance, not crew, not fuel, just the cost of not being seen. But here's the thing. Avoiding cameras is only half the story. Sometimes these billionaires aren't hiding from journalists. They're hiding from governments. About 30 miles down the coast from Barcelona sits Vilanova Grand Marina. And if Port Vell is the fortress, Villanova is the safe house. This is where yachts go to disappear during a legal battle. When a billionaire faces a lawsuit, a government investigation, or international sanctions, one of the first things that gets targeted is their most visible asset, the yacht. It's hard to hide a 70-meter ship, unless you bring it here. Villanova operates as what they call a technical service center, a refit yard, a place where ships go for maintenance. And while a yacht is being maintained, it can be completely wrapped in opaque cocoons, massive tarps, industrial shrink wrap. Nothing visible from outside or above. No photos, no public manifests. A staff under NDAs, many of whom have never discussed who owns the boats they work on for years at a time. It is, functionally, the billionaire equivalent of witness protection. For a boat. After Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, Western governments seized dozens of Russian oligarch superyachts in ports across Europe. Hundreds of millions of dollars in floating assets, suddenly frozen, suddenly public. The ones that made it to facilities like Villanova were already wrapped, already off the public manifest, already listed under holding company structures that take months to untangle. One lawyer who works on these cases told Bloomberg that locating a hidden superyacht is, and I'm summarizing here, like trying to find a specific car in a parking garage where every license plate has been removed and the security footage is owned by the garage. These ports don't advertise what they're really for. They don't need to. The people who need them already know where they are. So let's add this up. Because this is, at its core, a financial decision. A 60-meter superyacht costs roughly $15 to $20 million per year just in operational expenses. Crew, maintenance, insurance, that's before the yacht moves. Add Porto Montenegro's fuel arbitrage strategy, and you save around $1 million a year in taxes. That offsets roughly 6% of annual operating costs just by choosing where to fill the tank. Add the Port Vell security package, and you're spending $400,000 a year to ensure that the owner's presence in any country remains, legally speaking, ambiguous. That ambiguity alone can be worth tens of millions in tax residency disputes. And Villanova, the refit and concealment facility, that's the nuclear option. That's not about saving money in the normal sense. That's about protecting an asset worth $100 million or more from a government that wants to seize it. The people who use these ports aren't just wealthy. They're operating at a level where the rules that govern normal financial life simply have less purchase. Where you can spend $30,000 a month on security and privacy, and it barely registers as a line item. Where disappearing isn't a scandal. It's just a strategy. The question isn't whether this is legal. Most of it is. The question is something older than that. When you have enough money to make yourself invisible, to ghost the tax registry, to wrap your assets in industrial shrink wrap, and wait out a war from a fortified marina in Montenegro, is that freedom? Or is it just a very expensive cage? Subscribe. This rabbit hole goes a lot deeper.